Thanks for joining us for this week's edition on In the Huddle. I'm Coach Jason Pahman, and joining me now is Coach Sam Adams of the Oxford Yellow Jackets. The Yellow Jackets improved to 2-1 on the year last Friday night, 1-0 in the region play by defeating Shades Valley 45-13. And Coach was out there for that second half, and good crowd. The Yellow Jackets came out after halftime, I think up 24-13, and pretty much took care of business. But let's go back to last week and leading up to your first region game and the preparation that y'all had. Weather was kind of off and on all last week with the rain and everything, and with the first region game coming up, you had a little bit of momentum coming in after the win against Huntsville. Talk about the week of preparation and what the focus was for this week preparing for Shades Valley.
Yeah, we had a really good week of preparation. I thought, the weather was a factor on, I believe, last Tuesday. We had some lightning in the area, so we kind of had to be inside. But we really were having to move a couple of guys around. There's some guys playing in different spots Friday night. We had a couple guys out with injury. Mike Battle, inside linebacker, was out. Rashad Cunningham, our left tackle, was out. So Trey Hall stepped in that spot. And James Tapley kind of caught action on both sides of the ball there at tight end and at inside linebacker. And so we had some new faces out there really getting their first action at those positions at least. But I thought they responded really well, and we didn't get off to the greatest start in the game. But after the first 5 minutes, I thought we really were in control of the game until the final horn.
Starting the game off, they had two long runs. I think their guy 32-yard and maybe another 30. And quickly the Yellow Jackets fall, get behind 13-0. I think they missed the extra point there. But talk about the start. And is that a sign of a young team, or what do you think the root cause is of starting so sometimes?
Well, the number one cause is the guy who had most of the yards in those is a really good player.
Yes, yeah,
so
that's it.
That was the biggest thing.
Had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, number 6 for them, their slot receiver was their guy. Yeah, and they got the ball to him in a little bit of space, and we had opportunities to limit the yardage there if we were a little more secure on our tackles, but we didn't close on the way that we needed to get him on the ground. And if you have a guy like that, any kind of space to work, he's going to make you pay. Yeah. And we saw that 2 or 3 times on the first 2 drives of the game, and from then on we limited him at least. He still got a few good touches here and there, but after the first 2 drives, we were closer to neutralizing him.
You talked about the tackling a couple of weeks ago right after we faced McAdory. And it improved against Huntsville, and then the tackling, from what I saw in the second half, was pretty sure up there as well. Has that been a lot of focus in practice? Is going back to the fundamentals of tackling and getting in good position and then making tackle? Has that been a priority?
Yeah, understanding how to leverage the ball, meaning where you put your body as a defender in relation to the ball and other defenders, so you don't get outflanked, and obviously just securing the physical tackle once you get there. And I think most of the missed tackles we had the other night were on that one player, which is, we got to tackle the good players too.
Right.
But he had a lot to do with that, and it's good for our guys to see players that are really explosive in open space like that, so they understand how they have to perform at a very high level when they're trying to get a good player on the ground.
And got to take good angles angles against speed like that.
Yep.
All right, so down 13-0, and then the offense starts clicking. Mason Mims of Judge Sire for a pretty good touchdown there. And, each week we've seen the emergence of somebody new at the wide receiver position, and Friday night was Judge's night. And, of course, Mason, precise passing, putting it on the money there to him, and he did a great job of getting free and creating space. And all Mason had to do is put it around him, and Joe was going to catch it. So you had that touchdown, and then we had the field goal by Barrera, which was good to see. That gave you some confidence and gave him some confidence knowing that, hey, we get around this area, we're going to be able to kick a field goal. Yeah. And there's a lot of times where you don't you don't feel like confident
Right,
in your kicker. So it was good to see that. So you get back 10. It was 13-10 at that point, and then had another touchdown. Jaden Thomas, 58-yard touchdown run. Nice run there for him. Talk about the offense and what got them started clicking. Did you see something in the defense that you say, okay, hey, we can run this, and they're biting on this at the line. Hey, let's open it up a little bit.
Yeah, there was some of that. So Shades Valley came out and played us differently than we had seen them play in the previous couple games that we had on film. So they were predominantly a three-man front going into the game. Against us, they were almost 100% four-man front. A lot of pressure from the inside backers that we didn't really see in the first game. So the first drive, we started with a 3-and-out, which is not great. But, it took us a little bit to say, all right, let's we see what they're bringing to the party now. And so now let's kind of make a few adjustments. Not really anything wholesale different, but just, we can attack it in this way rather than what we thought it was going to be going in. And really after the first drive, I felt like we really hit our stride, and we've got a lot of guys on that offense that can hurt a defense in different ways. I mean, you mentioned the receivers. We also had we had 3 different running backs score touchdowns the other night with D.K. Wilson and Jaden Thomas and Caleb Wynn. Then Judd had, probably a career night for him. And Judd also, I hope everybody realizes what Judd did on special teams the other night too. Had a big hit on we're on kickoff coverage. Also had a huge block on a kickoff return early in the game after they kicked it out of bounds. And we made them re-kick to get the ball to DK. And Judd gets a guy on the ground, and then once he gets up, Judd's, finishing him 20, 30 yards down the field. And it's just showing, I think the buy-in that he has and the kind of teammate that he is.
I saw the hit on the kickoff return, and I think he sent him flying over to our sideline there.
He did.
It's a big hit. Judd, athletic guy, and in some ways kind of similar to Sam Robertson in the fact that he can get into space and he can find some openings and use his speed there. And Mason done a good job getting it to him, just like he did Sam the week before. Speaking of Sam Robertson, week before against Huntsville, was in on about 6 touchdowns and had surgery last Thursday. I talked to Shannon yesterday, and he said he's recovering. Still hurting a good bit. And unsettled and trying to find a pattern where he can get some sleep. But each day, he said he's seeing some improvement, so that's good to see. And hopefully we'll get him back towards the end of the season. When we come back, Coach, we're going to talk about halftime. What you told the boys going in the locker room, had the 24-13 lead. We'll talk about the second half and who's coming up next here on In the Huddle on TV 24. Welcome back to In the Huddle. Coach Jason Pahman with Coach Sam Adams, and we talked about the first half, and the Yellow Jackets down 13-0 came roaring back in the second quarter. Were able to score 24 unanswered points there in the second quarter. Feeling pretty good going into halftime. And you talked about the adjustments. Any more adjustments at halftime, or pretty much keep doing what you're doing?
Now, by the time we got to half, really all the adjustments were already made. Really, all those were made probably 5 minutes into the game, and you saw a difference in the game from that point on. We felt like the times where we had to settle for the field goal on offense on the first, we had a couple of self-inflicted wounds there, and we just kind of talked about how to fix those problems. And defense obviously talked about just getting to the ball and getting their good guys on the ground. And once we did those things, I mean, we were rolling pretty well.
That last touchdown of the first half, we didn't mention that, but Keenan Britt, man, and this is the first time I've been able to see Keenan play since probably he was in 7th grade, 7th, 8th grade. And my goodness, when I saw number 10 out there, I had to do a double check and ask Coach Davidson, is that Keenan out there wearing that number 10? He said, yeah, it is. And he told me about the play that he had in the first half where he called it one of the most remarkable plays that's been on the field in some time. And I watched the play, got to the court, made a great move to get to quarterback, cut in and then went through 2 guys basically to get to the quarterback, and ripped the ball out of his hands, and then, of course, raced in for a touchdown. Just a heads-up athletic play that you don't see out of a freshman.
No, you really don't. I mean, it defeated the tackle / guard pretty quickly on the line of scrimmage, and then ran by the running back that was trying to kind of help out there. And, you know, it wasn't that he knocked a fumble out and picked it up. I mean, he just took the ball out of the quarterback's hands and took it straight in and scored. I mean, it was a special play for sure.
Talk about him being as talented as he is, knowing that people are going to be all over him before long, once the word gets out. Him being the younger brother of somebody that's been through that and done that, heavily recruited, his brother was KJ, and had a remarkable high school career at Oxford, and went on to play at Auburn, had a good career at Auburn, and then in the NFL now. Talk about how you're going to have to bring him along and keep him grounded and keep him focused on getting better and improving and getting in the weight room. Talk about that with Keenan.
Yeah, well, he comes from a great family that I think will be of great assistance in keeping him grounded.
Right,
he's on a short leash all the time, and in a very good way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's held accountable, and he's the kind of person that really is going to hold himself accountable as much as anybody else could anyway. So, you know, it definitely will help through his recruiting process that his brother went through a similar thing not too long ago. But it's also changed quite a bit since KJ was coming through too. So, you know, I think, you know, having those kind of people around him will help keep him moving in the right direction.
That's good. Second half came out, had a pretty good kickoff return. Had to go right to left and was able to get a little bit of room there, and then Mason Mims and Judge Sire took over. Talk about that play right there, because I saw the tail end of it, but it looked like two defenders ran into each other, possibly a linebacker and a cornerback ran into each other in the middle of the field, and Joe was wide open. Of course, Mason put it right on the money.
Yeah, well, we were expecting some man coverage right there, which is what we got, and so we tried to, you know, through some motion, just simply create some traffic.
Yes.
And we're trying to move the pocket for the quarterback as well, so we get a lot of inside pressure right there. And you know, fortunately for us, a couple of their guys either got tied up or got their eyes in the wrong spot, and they turned Judd loose up the sideline. It's a similar play that we've ran a couple of times this year, just out of a little different formation.
Yeah, and then I think D.K. Wilson and like you said, Jamari Wynn had a couple good touchdowns run. I thought Jamari's touchdown run there at the end, went back and watched that several times, and really made some good cuts through traffic and got to the goal line. What grade is Jamari in, and we see more of him this week?
Yeah, so it's Caleb. Jamari's his brother. Caleb Wynn.
Okay, Caleb, that's right.
Yeah, he's a freshman running back, and he's seen action in 3 of the 4 games so far. He did not play. He had a little hip injury and missed the Huntsville game, but he's made plays in all the other games that we've had, and you know, it's good for him to see him kind of use his power a little bit and end up in the end zone. I guess that was in the early fourth quarter, maybe the other night.
Right.
And D.K. Wilson that you mentioned, I mean, he's a guy that does a lot of different stuff for us. He plays slot receiver and running back. The ball that he caught on the wheel route, he was lined up in the running back position. But a really versatile kid, really smart kid, and maybe the fastest kid on the team too. So that helps out.
Defensively, it looked like up front, they were winning the battle up front and both sides of the ball. But defensively, we were there. Every time they tried to do something, we were there. And really attacking, swarming Yellow Jacket defense that you know, has been a tradition at Oxford. Man, it was there Friday night.
It definitely was. You know, and they had to play not necessarily a lot of snaps overall, but at one point in the game they had to play a lot of snaps in a row because they scored on defense. And I think we had a really like a 1 or 2 play drive somewhere in there and scored a touchdown. And so there was a span in the first half where they were out there for probably 33 out of 36 snaps in the game. And so they got kind of have a little bit of a gut check right there to continue to play at that kind of level, just being out there for that extended period of time.
That's right.
And I thought they did a really good job of that.
Huffman this week another region foe, got to go on the road now and play an area game. Talk about Huffman for a minute.
Yeah, so they are. They've struggled a little bit opening up the year, but they played against some really good teams. You watch them on film. The thing that really jumps out to me is, I mean, they play with great effort. If you're expecting to go out there Friday and see the team that's going to phone it in for the rest of the season in Huffman,
right.
I mean, you got another thing coming. I mean, they're still playing hard for each other and believing in each other, and their effort reflects that. And Marlon Bruce, their head coach, is a friend of mine.
Yes.
And he's doing a great job with them.
Huffman this Friday night at Huffman. You want to see the Yellow Jackets play? Take off to Huffman this Friday and be a good game. Coach Sam Adams, glad you could join us. Coming up next, we're going to go up the road, up Interstate 20 to Heflin, Alabama, and visit with Coach Joby Burns of the Cleburne County Tigers here on In the Huddle. Welcome back to In the Huddle. I'm Coach Jason Pahman. Now joining me is Coach Joby Burns of the Cleburne County Tigers. We're here at Heflin in the beautiful gymnasium with the famous Tiger behind us, Coach. And just for a second before we get into football, talk about Cleburne County here and the facilities here, and got the beautiful field down to L.E. Bell. And talk about Cleburne County, the tradition, the facilities, and the town here.
Well, these guys have been great to us since we've been here. They support us so good. Our students they've gotten behind us this year. They're doing a great job. We got a good student section, and they stand and cheer, and they just really added a lot to it. And our community supports us. We got great facilities. Our turf, it's just so nice having something down there every day. They got a new track down on it. Right. You get great gym right here. So you couldn't ask for anything better. Great weight room. So everything's top notch, and the community's great. They support us and love on us, and we appreciate them.
A lot of tradition here in Cleburne County at Heflin, and a lot of great players has come through here, and we're going to be talking about some of those great players coming up shortly here, as we are during school here, and you hear that in the background, and it's no problem. Coach picked up the first win last Friday night. You start 1-0 in the region, a big region win over Talladega. Start out the year going across state line, playing Mount Zion, losing there 34-17, and then a hard-fought game against Northside, losing that game 13-7. But that score with Northside really caught my attention, because Northside coming in, playoff team from last year, a very talented team coming in. You hold them to 13 points and had a chance to win.
Right. Yeah, we did. We played pretty well defensively that night. We did hold them a couple times on the goal line. They had a couple chances to score, but we did our job and kept them out. Gave ourselves a chance to win and had a chance at the end. We just, came up a few plays short. And, like I said, hopefully those kind of games are going to make us better and get us ready for the playoffs and our region that we've got too.
Coach, talk about your team just a second before we get into last Friday night's game. And if you look down through the roster, you don't see a veteran team. You see a young team, and not many seniors on the team, but you see a lot of freshmen, sophomores, and some juniors in there. And some of your leaders on the team are freshmen and sophomore. Talk about some of the guys on the team and what they bring to the table.
Well, obviously, our quarterback, Kyler McGreen, he's a junior, and we ask a lot of Kyler. He plays both ways, quarterback and plays cornerback on defense. Does a great job for us. Senior Bo Clay also at the receiver and the defensive back. We moved Jake Dingler. He's our starting inside linebacker, and he moved to offensive tackle last week too. So, we've got a lot of guys playing both ways. Dylan Mize, our center, nose guard, goes both ways, and we're just last year we was able to play a lot of guys one way, but we're not able to do that this year. Right. So these guys are, they're stepping up. Nate Adams does a great job for us defensively. He helps get us lined up. Good, smart player, and just plays hard. And these guys are doing a good job for us. Most of these guys are juniors, and we do have some sophomores and a couple of freshmen that are playing. Yeah. So we even our seniors that are playing, they don't have a lot of experience.
Right,
You
right.
know, so we've got a few seniors that are playing that really this is his first year that they played or first time they're really
Yeah.
getting some experience. So even though they're a senior, they don't really have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I know one of those guys, Cannon Robertson. I've coached him when he was 4- and 5-year-old T-ball, and then this past summer in baseball. And a guy that come out and wanted to play, I talked to him this summer about playing football, and he was excited about it. So that's another guy you're talking about with a lack of experience. But, you know, the thing about this team is these guys want to be here. They want to be Cleburne County Tigers, and they're here, and they're trying their best. And you can tell by these games, the first 3 games that you've played, that you got a committed bunch. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to get into that Talladega game and talk about some highlights from that game here shortly on In the Huddle. Welcome back to In the Huddle. Coach Jason Pahman with Coach Joby Burns. And Coach, first region game going into Talladega, and you know Coach Smith from coaching against him at Central Clay, and he was at Mumford, and what type of offense he runs, and had a pretty good idea what Talladega brought to the table, but kind of concerned with the athleticism that they brought and being able to contain the quarterback and running back in the first half. Done a game plan. You probably couldn't have wrote a better game plan, both offensively and defensively. Talk about the first half and what transpired there.
Well, obviously, offensively, we came out and scored some points. You know, we scored when we had it and put some pressure on them and got stops on defense. And, yeah, it was. Their quarterback's really good. He's a good, hard runner. And I was worried about it just in space, being able to tackle him. And a couple times that he did get in space, we didn't tackle him very well. But we were able to hold them out for the most part. They scored right at the end of the first half. But, yeah, very pleased with the way we came out and took control of the game and you know, put some points on the board. So that was a good way to start off.
Talk about at halftime what you told the boys. Obviously off to a great start and kind of different than the last 2 games that you had played, and got a lot of new guys in the locker room there. Talk about what you told them at halftime.
Well, we just really wanted them to come out and finish the game the right way, you know, and a little disappointing the way we did come out second half. Now, we did come out and score when we got it, but then we let them score a couple times right after that, and they got an onside kick, and you know, just didn't feel like we came out with the intensity that we needed to, that we're going to have to against these other teams. But, you know, at the same time, that's a learning experience, and so, you know, these guys hopefully will learn from that and, you know, and not repeat it.
Right. And it's one of those things, too, with younger guys, knowing how to win. When you win, how to take care of business and hold yourself, and making sure that you're doing the right things throughout the entire game. And with the young team, being able to go through that with the score kind of being out of reach, you were able really to tell them, say, look, we can't do that against good teams. If we get a lead, we got to maintain it.
Right. Well, and that's what we're actually was trying to tell them at halftime. It's not just about tonight. It's about the next week and the next week and the next week. You know, and what better way to learn to play every play during a game. You know, and so, you know, it wasn't just about that one game. It's about every game. And, you know, every rep we get, we've got to take advantage of it.
Defensively really set the tone, and pretty much that's been the staple the 3 games you played is the defense has really played hard. You talked about McGrim, him playing both ways. I think he had several tackles the other night. Any other guys on defense that you'd like to highlight?
Well, again, you know, Jake Dingler does a great job for us at linebacker. Nate Adams does a great job at outside linebacker. You know, Dylan McGrins plays the inside. That's Kyler's younger brother. He's a sophomore, and he's an inside linebacker for us. But up front, we got Ty Nolan and Rico Hughley, James Cotton. Those guys are all doing a really good job up front for us. Dylan Mize. You know, so we rotate a lot of guys on the defensive front, and yeah, they're doing a good job for us. You know, secondary wise, Bo Clay, Kyler, Jacob Cavender, Jake Littleton's done a really good job for us coming up at strong safety this year. So, you know, a lot of guys are working hard, and you know, we've been successful.
Next week, or this coming week, you play Moody, and a tough team. They're 3-0, and their coach are averaging around 52 points a game. And wow, another athletic team playing, and going to be a tough task. And they kind of came out of the middle of nowhere, but man, are they really putting up some points. And Alexander played them Friday night. Talk about Moody and what they got, and how we're going to try to slow them down.
Well, they got a lot.
Yeah.
You know, they've got a lot. They've got a lot of really good skill players on offense. Big receivers, good running back, good quarterback. Offensive line's big. You know, they're a really, really good team. Yeah, we're going to have to – obviously we're going to have to tackle well in space, you know, not give up the big play, you know, make them keep snapping it right there, and hopefully some good things will go our way right there. We're going to need to get some turnovers and things like that, which we haven't. We played pretty good defense this year, but we haven't gotten any turnovers, and so, you know, we're going to have to get some Friday night. Offensively, we're going to have to keep the ball, control the ball, you know, hopefully, and, you know, just keep it away from them a little bit.
That's Coach Joby Burns. I'm Coach Jason Pahman. Thanks for joining us on In the Huddle. Good luck to you this Friday night, Coach, as you travel to Moody. Coming up next, we're going to travel up Highway 9 just a little bit as we visit Coach Chandler Tyree and the White Plains Wildcats. Be back shortly here on In the Huddle. Welcome to In the Huddle. I'm Coach Jason Pahman. Now join me, Coach Chandler Tyree of the White Plains Wildcats. And as you see in the background, got a lot of the football team. I think some of the basketball teams in here working out. And man, what a setup you got here. I know it's a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort has went into getting this place ready. And you can see that the rewards is bringing right now.
Yes, sir. We're definitely thankful for what we've been able to accomplish and what we've been able to do through some fundraising and the help from our booster club and the people in our school and the people in our community. And the kids appreciate it. They work hard. They make sure it stays cleaned up. And so we're just thankful for that, and it's going to help out our programs tremendously.
You got a good guy running this crew in here with Coach Randall, and Coach Randall really challenging them to hit that burnout hard. And really encouraging them, and he's a perfect guy to put in here.
Yes, sir, no doubt. He's the guy that's been here the longest and loves White Plains, has built a culture in his basketball program that we want to have in our whole athletic program. So I couldn't think of a better guy to lead our guys in the weight room every day.
Now let's talk about the football season. 1-1 on the season, opened up against Ranburne, and what a tough game that was. And They got a 7-0 lead. You came back and got a touchdown, tied it up in the second quarter, and was able to get a score in the third quarter and hold them out of the end zone in the fourth quarter to win 14-7. Talk about that game against Ranburne.
I thought that defensively we played really well. They actually, the only time they scored was on a 2-yard drive where we had botched the snap on the punt. So I thought defensively we played pretty well all night. We saw some things that we could fix, but that turned out to be a lot bigger win than what we even thought at the time because Ranburne's went on to win their last 2 ball games. So they're a really good team. Coach Bailey does a really good job with them. They're tough. They're physical. They're going to be physical every year you play them. I think offensively we had our woes in that game, but I think we're young. We're starting 4 or 5 freshmen. And a couple and an 8th grader gets a lot of playing time for us as well. So when you're young and you're starting that many young guys, you're going to take your lumps early in the year. But like I try to tell our guys, we're trying to get better each and every day. But Ranburne, that's a big win. That's turned into a rivalry. We're 2-2 against them since I've been here. Like I said, they're tough. It's not a far drive. The schools are really similar, even though they're 2A and we're 4A as far as football. As far as our football players and athletes, we're really similar. And it's been a good game every year. So I'm excited about that, and hopefully we continue to have that rivalry and continue to compete against them. And like I said, every year that we compete against them, they play hard, they're really physical, and we have to answer that call. So it's a really good starting game for us to kind of gauge where we're at and how physical we're going to be.
Yeah, starting out in that game, looking at and comparing the lines, they definitely had the size advantage on the line. You're playing a lot of young guys up front, and I think their first touchdown, they put a guy back there who's 6'4", around 280, somewhere around there, big old guy that was just a freight train, and your guys hung in there. A little bit of rocky start offensively up front, but they settled in and really did a admirable job against a much bigger offensive line and defensive line that you faced.
I thought so. I thought that they really played hard and played with some decent technique at times, because when you're undersized, you better depend on your technique and your fundamentals. And so I thought we did a really good job with that. Was excited about the way we competed that game. And you know, I talked to him about nothing in life worth having is easy in our pregame speech. Handle hard better. And we had some tough times early, and I thought we handled it well, and I think that's the reason why we were able to come out with a victory in that game.
Last week, homecoming against Oak Grove, and Oak Grove with a new coach, a new offense coming in, and really didn't know too much about them coming in. That was their first game, but very much improved Oak Grove team from last year, and boy, was it a battle. They started out, scored 2 touchdowns, and you were able to get a touchdown. And they got the lead 13-6, I believe it was, at halftime. Talk about that first half and trying to adjust to what they were doing there in that first half.
I wasn't pleased the way we played early. I thought that we came out flat, and I think and when homecoming, there's a lot of distractions that come with that. And as a coach, you're trying your best to get your guys to focus in on the game, because that's really the only thing that matters. And I thought we came out flat. I thought we didn't execute real well early. What they do offensively is really tough, and you got to be really fundamental, and you cannot make mistakes against that kind of offense. And so I thought that was well. Offensively, we didn't get lined up, and we had to take some stupid timeouts early in the game. And just made a lot of mental mistakes that really had me disappointed. But I thought we came back in the second half and really competed, and I was proud of the way we bowed our necks and gave ourselves a chance to win at the end.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what you talked to them at halftime and some of that second half when we come back here on In the Huddle. All right, back here at In the Huddle, and Coach, coming up this week, Hanley Tigers. They go to Jacksonville. Big game there at Jacksonville, and a lot of people looked at Jacksonville to be able to beat Hanley, but Hanley coming in, and Coach Strain calls this team his best team he's had at Hanley, including the state championship he had a couple years ago. And boy, did they ever flex their muscles and really bow up and run the football, didn't they?
Well, the Haynes kid had 476 yards rushing, and they looked extremely well. But you know, you prepare to win the football games.
Right.
As coaches, we prepare. As players, we're going to prepare, and we're going to go down there and prepare to try to win a football game. I've never showed up in my career or in my playing career and thought I was going to lose. Now, I've lost my share of games, but it wasn't because we didn't prepare or show up and think we were going to get beat. And like I told our kids, we're worried about White Plains. Like, we're worried on ourselves. Like, we've got to get better every day. Right. But I can tell you this, it would be far-fetched to find another team in the state that's got a tougher stretch of 2 games in a row that we have with
right.
Hanley and Anniston coming up back-to-back weeks. I personally, after watching some film on both of those teams, I think they're 2 of the better 4A teams in the state.
I agree. I certainly do agree, and that game is going to be a war between those 2, and you definitely got your hands full. Coach, preparing for Hanley is also going to help you prepare for Anniston. Anniston likes to run the ball, a lot of good speed on both sides of the ball, same with Hanley. So ball control on offense, is that what we're going to preach to the team this week?
I think you got to execute, and you got to try to get first downs. I think your best defense is to keep their offense off the field. Yeah. And so if we can get first downs and kind of grind out some drives, that's going to help us out a ton. Yes. We don't want to go 3 and out, and we don't want to get the ball back and only take a minute off the clock when we have the ball on offense. That's not going to be a recipe for success for us. But you know, they're going to Coach Strain is really tough to play against. He's going to formation you to death. He's going to go tackle over. He's going to go heavy. He's going to go different formation. I mean, he's just going to give you a lot of different looks, and he's going to run his base plays, but you may get it out of 20, 25 different formations throughout the game. So he's going to formation you to death, so we got to be on our P's and Q's, and Hom's got to do a good job of getting us lined up. We got to do a good job this week of seeing it during practice. It's tough to get that game speed as far as defensively. You can get lined up defensively and give a decent look for your offensive team, for your offensive guys, but it's tough to get a good defensive look during practice. So film is going to be huge for us. Tendencies is going to be huge for us, and just getting lined up. If you can get lined up, that's the first battle.
Definitely. And tackling well. Getting Haynes when you can get him. First man up on him has got to make that tackle. He had 4 or 5 touchdown runs that were long runs, and so that's obviously there was a lot of missed tackles in that Jacksonville game, and guys going to have to tackle well up front.
Yeah, you can't run upfield. You can't create creases, because if he gets a crease, I mean, everybody around here knows that Jacksonville's got athletes. If he gets a crease, and if you watch the film, he was running away from the kids from Jacksonville. And so if you give him a crease and he's able to get vertical, then you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. Got to tackle well. You got to be. This has got to be the best tackling week we've had. But overall, like I said, if we can become better and better a White Plains team every single day and continue to get better, that's what we're going to try to do. So.
Good luck, Coach Tyree. I know you'll go in there with the heads held high and shoulders back and chest out, ready to fight, and look forward to following you the rest of this season. And hopefully everything will go well. Hopefully stay injury-free Friday night. Good luck to you this Friday.
Thank you. Go Wildcats.
That's Coach Chandler Tyree. I'm Coach Jason Pahman. Stay tuned. When we come back, we'll have a short announcement and be ready for next week. Thanks for joining us on In the Huddle this week's edition. We'd like to thank Green Oil and Dr. Pepper for being our sponsors on this show. Stay tuned next week, same time, same place, for more coaches interviews on In the Huddle with Coach Jason Pahman. Thank you.